Guided reading using must-dos and can-dos, part 4. Hi everyone, welcome to Talk and Chalk. I'm Beck. I'm an assistant principal in Southwest Sydney, and if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm going to be going through some of the activities that I use as must-dos and can-dos, as I said, during guided reading activities. So if you haven't seen any of my must-do or can-do activities before, that's okay. You don't need to have seen them to understand this one. I'll go through and just give you the gist of it. And if you haven't seen any of my links before, just check out the description below for my links to Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest, and also my kids' educational channel, which is called Clever Pickles, which has lots of fun maths games on there with really easy resources to use. So getting into the must-dos and can-dos. So when I'm teaching guided reading during my literacy session, I have my group of kids with me at the little jelly bean table that I have, and I usually work in groups of about 4. I've only got a small class, so I'm lucky I can work in small groups that way. While I'm working with those kids at the jelly bean table with intensive guided reading strategies, the rest of the class are participating in must-do and can-do activities, and they're exactly the way they sound. The must-dos are the activities that they must get to and they must complete, and then the can-dos are the additional activities that they can do once they've completed the must-dos. The must-dos and can-dos are the same throughout the entire week, but their status will change. So for example, if I've got a free writing station, then on Monday, it might be a can-do. It might be something they can get to when they get to it later. But Tuesday, the expectation is that the free writing is a must-do. So those will change depending on the day, depending on the activities. So the activities that I've got in today's video for you will change each day. There will be a must-do one day, and then there'll be a can-do the next day. And the reason that it's good for the kids to revisit those activities is because they might see it in a different way when they get to it. They might get to use different words as part of those activities when they're doing it, and they'll engage with that activity on a different level. They might even be working with a different student and have a different interaction just based on the fact that they're working with someone different. So I'm going to flip to some video of the activities that I laid out, and I've got some from last week and this week, just to give you a bit of a different idea of what goes on in the classroom. So these aren't all necessarily always out at the same time, because the reading corner is always an opportunity. The free writing is an opportunity, and I also run Google Classroom activities as well as an activity. So when you see the activities that I've got laid out for you in this video, it's just a bit of an idea of what's going on. So we'll flip to it now. Okay, so I've just lined up some activities here so it's easier to film. So I'll take you through what I've done. These are spy pens from Kmart. So down one end is a normal pen, and up in this end here is the spy pen. And then it's got a little light to be able to read it. So they were given this sheet that said instructions, and then they had to use the pen, use the spy pens to write, and then the rest of the instructions are there about getting a partner to read it. And then all of these sheets here are bits of writing that have been written in the invisible pen. So you can see, oh, there we go, some writing across there. I'll just take you to some of the other students who were a bit more capable. So I am a spy, and this is my spy friend MJ. He is a something, I've missed it there. I love being a spy with my friend MJ. And then there's more here. Hi, Miss West. What are you doing? So they were allowed to write spy stuff, or they could write other things if they wanted to. Some went into a lot more detail, but then they needed to get a partner to come and try and read it. And it was really funny to watch them finish a sentence, think about it, and then try and remember where they were up to on the page. But overall, I think they were pretty neat and tidy considering they couldn't see what they were writing. Okay, and we've got the magic 8-ball here. So we've been practicing questions, and over on the door there I've got our practice question words with examples that they could use for practice. And then they're meant to write a question, and then they get to shake the 8-ball and get an answer. And then they have to write down whatever the 8-ball said about answering it. So some of them were pretty funny. They said, oh, will Mrs. West give us free time? so it shall be. Whoa, don't tell them that. But then they had to write the answers down. They came up with some pretty funny questions. Overall, it was good for practicing where they use their question mark and using those questioning words at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, this is... There was an old lady who swallowed a rhyme. It's from Scholastic. I got this from, book club one year myself. This is the school copy though, school version that I'm using though. It's just out of the storeroom. So there's a couple of different ways that you can play the game. So you can see there's matching the word to the picture. So they could put them together and they pop them in her mouth and she gets to swallow them. But then there's another way that you could do it where you find the rhyme. So there's clock and block. I can put them together and I pop that into her mouth. You put the rhymes in there together. And they like finding it and then filling it up in her mouth until it's all full. And they sometimes come up with different ways that you can play this. Very easy to differentiate for your kids and lots of fun to play. Okay, this one is to give them a prompt for when they're doing their free writing area. So remember, free writing should be out every single day, even if it's just a can do, it should be there. And these are really good. So I mean, if I dig in there and grab a couple out, there's some writing prompts that are in here. And they've got visuals on one side and then something on the back of it. So why do you think the sky is blue? So I mean, even if they don't want to answer the question, they can use the blue sky as a writing prompt to write about something. So, my favorite food. When do you use fractions? Someone running on the beach. Why should you exercise? But that could be about where do you want a holiday? Why do you like to swim? Those sorts of things. And then we've got a firefighter. Who is your hero? So there's some writing prompts in that box, and I'll just get a bit closer so you can see where it's from. Learning resources. Again, this is a school resource. This one, I was surprised at how engaged the class was with this one. So I just got these cheapo post-it notes from Kmart. It was like $1 or $2 in the star shape, and we've got our gel pens here. And then I put up 4 words in the chart, and they had to think of synonyms to go with those words. So, you know, for small, we've got tiny, baby. Over here in play, we've got, you know, video game, game, drawing. I think that one's meant to be under eat. So under eat, we've got slurping, chew, and under said, instead of said, yelled, question, scream. So they were more into that than I expected them to be. So I'm going to do some more work, I think, using the synonyms on the chart so they can contribute to it as a class. Okay, spelling pyramid. So this was just a worksheet. I'm hoping that we can transfer some of this stuff into their books a bit more often. So they've got the chart there, and the idea is that they needed to pick words off the word wall to create the spelling pyramid. So I'm pretty sure this was from Teachers Pay Teachers, but there's the reference there for you, Cassie Dahl, I think it is. And on the back of that, I'll just pull it out, is a blank one there, so they can fill in with their own words. And I said they could pick any word they wanted to, whether it was on the word wall or not, to do some more triangular style sort of pyramids on that side. They really liked that one, and that this was not a one-day thing. This actually went over a couple of days doing these ones to get it completed. Okay, another Kmart resource here. These were the coloured letter tiles that I got for $2, I think it was. And I'm using this as an activity to practice matching our capital and our lowercase letters. So these are just Dolch words here that have been laminated that I use for 1,000,001 other activities. They pull it out and they make a word using these. And if they're kids that are finishing a lot pretty quickly, I tell them that they need to get their workbook and then copy this using the colours. So they're going to go to their book and they're going to use green, yellow, pink, pink and blue to write sleep in their book. And I asked them to write the capital version and the lowercase version. Okay, and the last activity I'll show you guys today is using our maths blocks here. So I've got some tens blocks and some units blocks here, and they get to pick words from the word wall and try and use the blocks to create it. So this is just my sample of one of the words that I picked off the word wall. So ideally, I want them to make it with these first because it's easier and faster to do it with the tens blocks first. And then if they want to try it, because it will definitely take longer to use the ones, they can make some words using that. Or they can mix and match and do it different ways if they want to. And I think it would be funny to see if they actually count up how much they have altogether, depending on the words that they get. And we can create a bit of a a running total to go with it. So this will be the first time I've actually tried the activity with the class this week. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Okay, so you can see from the resources that I laid out for you that I try and get lots of unique things in the classroom. It's not always using the magnetic letters. It's not always using flashcards. I try and get things that are going to be fun. So the spy pens were an absolute hit with the kids. There was lots and lots of scrap paper around with different things written on them. And you know what? I didn't find anything with inappropriate language or anything like that. They were really engaged with it and excited to use it. And just by having the instructions written in the spy pen, it made them, click on the torch and be able to read it and engage with it that way. And they really had fun swapping it with each other. And you can see there's some drawings on there. Some writing is better than others. And it just meant that every kid could engage with it in a different way. While they were doing it, I could see them using the word wall. Some kids went and got the dictionary. Some kids went and got their books to be able to write things about as well. Ultimately, though, they all wanted to write about, how they were a spy. The activities with the synonyms, I'm going to continue to do that, as I said, and see what else they can come up with. And I'm going to keep that up in the classroom as a reference point for synonyms, because I found that they're still using, I guess, more simplistic language in their writing, and I really want to encourage them to expand that and think of other ways that they could write, especially using the word said. So I'll continue with those activities. So hopefully this has been beneficial for you. If you haven't engaged with the must-do, can-do style in the classroom, I encourage you to give it a go this term, even if it's only for, one session a week, give it a go. If you give your kids a bit of a chance to show you that they're capable of doing it, it does take a little bit of training to sort of get that free range learning under control. And you need to maintain high expectations in the class that the students will complete those activities. And a good way to monitor that is by, if you've got class iPads, taking photos of the work that they're doing and then flipping through the photos at the end of the session and talking and holding it up and saying, little Johnny did wonderful work there with the synonyms, or who put this one on the synonyms chart. If you use Seesaw, you can put it up on that. If you use Class Dojo, you can put it up on that, and just make the kids accountable for what they're doing. It is hard when you're sitting at that table to get yourself out of the mindset that you need to be checking that they're completing everything that you're setting for them. Google Classroom is great for that because I can see who's completed a task on there. But obviously those other activities like making words and things, the only way you're going to know that they're doing it is just by gauging around the room, by looking up around the room and seeing who's on task. And that comes down to classroom management and the behavior management in your class. And I know if there are people out there that have students with very high behavior needs or very high learning needs, you might think that this isn't achievable. Trust me, I have enough differentiation going on in my classroom and set high enough expectations that everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing, and it can work. So if you're unsure of anything at all, please send me a question via Twitter or via Facebook. Either way, I always answer everyone. I'd like to thank everyone who has been messaging me with lovely feedback so far. I was at the Science and Maths conference recently, and I had so many people come up to talk to me and say that they found the channel beneficial and they like Clever Pickles for their classroom as well. And it's just so lovely to have people come up and say that they're gaining something out of this. So even if you only take one thing away from this video today, give me a thumbs up or pop a comment below. If you've got additional activities that you think might work well in my classroom, feel free to drop them below as well. Collaboration is the key for teachers to just be as wonderful as we can possibly be in the classroom. So I'm going to leave my link down the bottom here. If you haven't subscribed, you can hover over that and the subscribe button will pop up. I'll also put one of my other videos up the top here in case you haven't seen any of my other ones. And I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.